All right. All right, recording in progress. Okay. Coming to you, open house class materials right now. We're going to deviate for a second and watch a workman video. I just want you guys to know that along with Momentum, we have online studies that Workman does. So Workman has a product called BAM, RAMP, SLAM. And so SLAM is for sellers, for mastering the seller process, BAM is buyer, and then RAMP is rising agent. So if you're new, and it might be a good class to take the rising agent one. Rising Agent is their newest product, so it's probably the sexiest and best, bells and whistles. And we're going to watch the open house video in there. There are several videos you can watch. So if you just go into the training center and type in open house, there's one from Rick Jiha. So there's different ones in there. I'm picking the one from Ramp just because it's the most current and I feel like the most relevant for you. So we're going to watch that to start. And then we're going to dive into the momentum materials. The cool thing about the workman stuff is y'all can watch that. If you got insomnia at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can log into the training center and binge watch some BAM, right? And not, don't have to wait for me on Tuesdays. So that's the one cool thing about that. And we do run some live classes with that too. There is no new ideas, right? It's just how we package it and how we make it sound sexy and relevant. And so a lot of times these things will overlap. What I say will overlap with what's inside of Momentum. Because again, there are no new ideas. It's just how we say it. So, but before I do that, let's just have a quick, and I want to be mindful of time, but I just want to know, like, what are your guys' thoughts about open houses? Because I've got some people that like, no, not going to do it. I hate open houses, right? And then here I am, you guys, and I'm building my business up here in northern Arizona, and what is the thing I'm doing? I'm trying to do anyway. Haven't had a lot of success yet, but open houses, because I know that in my time on Nate's team, anytime that I got slow, I would go do an open house. And this was way before we had all the cool stuff that we can do to advertise, right? You would literally just go put some signs out and that was it, right? Now you've got all kinds of additional things, social media and different ways to advertise. I haven't got into the KV core thing yet on open houses, but Nate's geeking out about it and saying it's really cool. So what are you guys, do we have any challenging thoughts around open houses?
No, I love doing them.
Okay, Scott loves doing them. Roberta, I know you love doing them. Anybody not like them? Anybody adverse to them? Being honest, this is a safe space.
Well, I personally don't love doing them, but I'll just
Thank you for being honest.
Right, exactly. But but the reality is, I mean, a lot of agents have built their business around open houses, and and so it's like I think it's important. It's an easy way to get in front of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially if you're new, like Scott, I know you're doing a lot, and it's great. You kind of have to. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. And as you'll learn in the momentum materials, 60% of people who come through the classes actually do buy homes. It was interesting to me, and we'll talk about Facebook Marketplace a little bit more, but I ran an ad on that property I had out in Morristown. I got a ton of leads from that on Facebook Marketplace. And I would say at least 6 to 10 of them I had meaningful conversations with. We showed the property a couple times, I think 3 times off of that ad. And what was really interesting is all those leads I would ask, do you have a realtor? No, I don't have a realtor. One of them was a buy sell. They had to sell a property and surprise and buy, and it didn't work out. But nonetheless, I mean, I think Facebook Marketplace is a real contender for advertising. Now, I ran it on the open house I did up here. I didn't get quite as much activity on that one. I don't know if it was just a miss on that one. So I'm not going to rule out Facebook Marketplace because I had such great success with the other one. So something to think about, with different ways that we can raise the roof. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in unless somebody else has any other comments about that. Let me just address safety really quickly, because I know that could be some challenges for some people. And so there's safety in numbers, right? And so Tina's here for a reason. She's a loan officer. So I'm guessing she's saying, hey guys, I'll sit in open house with you. You can also partner up with other people. Kyle and Christy have done open houses together, and they just round robin the leads, right? When people come in, Brandy and Jennifer do open houses together, same kind of thing. So loan officers are good. I've gone and door knocked and said, hey, I'm sitting in an open house. If you see any creepers, keep me in mind, right? And so there's other options you can do. But if you're fearful that someone's going to come in and hurt you, then that's the vibe you're putting off. So we want to work through that a little bit, because I think, the bad stuff, yes, it happens, but it's very minimal compared to all the good stuff. And so if you're afraid, find somebody that's strong. I would say that Steve Cushing shared with us, and that was my hook. I got you guys here. I wish more people would show up to this class, but thank you guys for being here. The hook I had last week is that Steve shared in our mastermind when we did the marketing, 60 leads have been generated from open houses since October. I mean, Jan, that's a significant amount of leads, and even if only half of those came to fruition, that's a good year, right? Even if half of a half came to fruition, that's still a good year when the average realtor sells 10 homes a year. And so I found that really remarkable. So he's a guy that if you're struggling with open houses, go shadow him. He'll let you just be a fly on the wall and watch what he does. Monique's another one that's a powerhouse, and so is Rose Gillen. And so any of them, if you reach out and just said, hey, can I just observe your open house? They are going to say yes. Okay. Yeah. Kim, go ahead.
Who was the first agent?
Steve Cushing.
Cushing. Okay.
Yep. So he used to be on Nate's team, and like I said, he's crushing it. And he will tell you that open houses are a true pillar of his business. So, so don't just take my word for it, right? Go shadow some of these people who are really doing a good job at it. And I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen here. But if you think open houses don't work, then that's going to be the results that you have. Okay. So I'd like to challenge you to think differently, because I can go on and on and on of success stories of agents that they do work. Okay. But they're a numbers game, right? You gotta do enough of them, and I promise you're going to get skunked. It's going to happen, right? But that's okay. I always take a lot of stuff with me that I want to get done during my open house. And then those open houses, inevitably, I'm always really busy. So little reverse psychology there. All right, let's take a look at Miss Tammy Slay, who is a master coach with women. Y'all can hear that okay?
Yeah.
Open houses, love them or hate them, they have been an integral part of the real estate world forever. Even those agents who have been in the biz since the dawn of time have experience holding open houses. Over the years, technology has simplified the process, and social media offers a whole new world with which to promote your open houses. But one fact remains the same. If you don't do the work, you won't get the results. I know that seems simple, and maybe it is, but if you really commit to having the best open house ever and advertise well, buyers will come. An open house is an event, and the key to your success lies in the preparation. One of your biggest priorities should be marketing. Nothing will drive more traffic to the home than beautiful HD photography and video. Having great photos of the interior will generate interest on the MLS and syndicated sites, and will catch the eye of people who are grabbing a flyer from your flyer box as they stop by. Make sure your flyers and online information present the home in its best light and great photography. And video is even better. Consider filming a high-definition video walkthrough of the home to really step up your listing. Next, you need signs. Lots and lots of signs. Whatever number you are thinking, just double it. This needs to go out well in advance of the actual open house. We know of some Workman Success agents who put upwards of 30 signs out for each and every open house. Wow! A few days before your open house, walk the neighborhood and knock on some doors. Yes, I said knock on some doors. People don't like being sold on something at the door, but getting invited to an open house, they just might be interested in being nosy and seeing inside a house in the neighborhood, and they just might have some friends or family who they'd like to move into that house. Give neighbors a flyer and use the prospecting door knocking script about open houses to get you started. This is their opportunity to choose their own neighbor. Who wouldn't want that? Remember, it's all about client service and expectations. The homeowner may be so impressed with your level of service that they ask you to list their house. Blast your open house info out on all social media channels, as well as your office or brand social media outlets, and invite your followers to come visit you at the event. Use those amazing photos and videos we just talked about. Don't forget about the online syndicated marketing exposure you can get by advertising your open house on Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, and so many others. Consider creating a custom landing page to showcase the home and generate leads. On the page, include photos and videos of both the interior and exterior, as well as information about the neighborhood amenities, nearby schools, shopping centers, and community. If it is truly a busy market, think seller market, and houses are flying off the shelves, consider holding 4 open houses on the same weekend for the same house, one in the morning and one in the afternoon on both Saturday and Sunday. No seller can object to that much attention paid to their listing. When the day of the event has arrived, once again, preparation is key. Here are some tips for hosting a fantastic open house. Before the open house, turn on all of the lights throughout the house and open all the curtains. If you'd like, light a few scented candles, put out fresh flowers, and play some soft music for ambiance. Make sure all the doors are unlocked. Look for any stray clutter and tuck it out of sight. If your client has a camera surveillance system, kindly ask that they turn it off so buyers can talk freely. Next, set up a folding table with a tablecloth, either just outside the door or just inside, depending on the weather. This is where you, a team member, and maybe the lender will greet guests and check them in. This table sets up a controlled environment for the open house. This way, you know who's in the house at all times, and you can govern the flow of traffic. You owe it to the sellers to take good care of their home and their belongings while they're away, and both buyers and potential sellers will appreciate that. Put a sign on display, letting everyone know that it is a privilege, not a right, to enter the home. You'll also need to have registration for visitors to fill out at the table. This could be a physical paper, but we recommend bringing a couple of tablets for sign-ins. Open Home Pro is a great free app that will collect all pertinent data. You should also bring some branded marketing swag, business cards, and informational flyers. Look in your workbook for a diagram of the suggested table setup. Be sure that everything is ready at least 15 minutes prior to the start time. Make sure the house looks great and you're dressed to impress. Remember, you're not just appealing to buyers here, you're also appealing to potential sellers. If someone in the neighborhood sees how well you have an organized open house, they might think, wow, when I sell my house, I want this agent to do it. When guests arrive, sign them in and take them on a tour of the home. Offer to send them information on the listing via email. Keep in mind that you are the host and the seller representative. Your attitude matters, so make sure you are presenting your best self. Be welcoming, warm, and professional. A lot goes into a good open house, but it's absolutely worth the effort. Taking the time to prepare for an amazing open house event may just be the thing your listing needs to garner interest and solidify your position as an amazing agent. The best way to learn is to do this. So this week, I want you to hold an open house. If you don't have any listings, offer to hold an open house for your mentor or another colleague. Going forward, try to hold at least 2 open houses a week. After each open house, make sure you send a follow-up card or email to every attendee. Thank them and ask them for feedback on the open house, the property, and the neighborhood in general. Even if they are represented by another agent, you can still reach out. Say something like, "It was so nice to meet you last weekend at my open house at 123 Main Street. I'm reaching out to you to get some honest feedback for the sellers. Did you love it? Hate it? Are you in between? If you have a few minutes, I'd love to chat with you about your thoughts on the home and your experience house hunting in the neighborhood. Please let me know when it's a good time to connect. I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon." If you hit it off with a particular attendee, consider sending a personal card. It could say something like, "Hi Jane, just wanted to drop you a quick note and thank you for being patient with me at my open house on 123 Main Street yesterday. Sometimes these things get busy fast. I'd love to get together to talk about strategy and get out and see some houses together." Then sign your name and give them your cell number. Don't forget to include your business card. You'll also want to be sure that you have added all unrepresented buyers to your lead tracker. Tag them as an A, B, or C lead, and then schedule the next contact. Remember, this is prospecting. This is your job. Don't be one of the 50% of agents that never do the follow-up. You're better than that. Ready to host an amazing open house? You've got everything you need, so go out there and do it. Remember, your assignment is to hold an open house. Follow up with every attendee and add all the leads to your tracker. You got this. Good luck, and we'll see you next time on the ramp to success.
Let me turn that off. All right, a couple things that I am going to counter on her video, and then we're going to dive into the momentum materials. So sign-in sheets. I heard this recently from someone that they had more success with using a paper sign-in sheet than they did a tablet. And I'm thinking COVID, right? Germs on a tablet, don't want to do that. It feels a little weird. If you've ever had someone take your cell phone, feels like a violation, right? And so that's just some feedback I've heard from some agents having better success using paper. I will send you guys, Orlando made us a nice little surveillance camera, little graphic. And I'm not going to say I had a ton of success with this. The one person who came through my open house got skunked because of the stupid wind, signed in, right? It was not a problem. I just said, hey, do you mind signing in? He said, no problem. Gave me a phone number and an email address, right? And I'd like to think because I had a nice sign on the door that says, it's a privilege, not a right, you're going to be asked to sign in for everyone's security. And so when we prompt them at the door, they know ahead of time, like I have to sign in, right? And so you could even go back to COVID if you want to and say, for the seller safety, we got to do tracing. So that you could use that if you want to. I don't know, that may be played out. I don't know. So that was one thing I want to counter on that. Signs, you got to make sure if you're doing the mega open house signs that you're following HOA rules or city guidelines. That was a big thing. I think Surprise has a big issue with signs, too many signs being put out. So make sure you're following the rules on that. You don't want to have your signs get stolen. If you're going to do mega signs like that, I would probably go buy the cheapo ones on Amazon that if they do get stolen, not a big deal. Otherwise, because I just bought signs, they were freaking expensive. So I shouldn't say that. They were more money than I was expecting them to be. Let's just say that. So if you go buy the cheapo ones, you can get a pack on Amazon. Roberta, you got something to add?
Oh, I was about the sign in. Yeah, absolutely. I would have paper there also, but just a reminder that KV Core has their new open house app. And if anybody has tried that yet, I'd love to know, but when they put their information in, it automatically goes into your CRM. So you don't have to do it.
Okay.
And so that's just kind of a cool benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, I've used it and it syncs when you get back to Wi-Fi and then sets up a campaign.
The drip. Yeah.
I'm personally going to make some adjustments to the campaign because for me, if the people that are signing in it's usually because I've had some kind of connection with them. And so what is in the first email and text isn't appropriate in that circumstance. So
Good to know.
it's worth reading through the campaign and making sure it's what you want.
Okay.
And if you need help changing it, just let me know. I know how to do it.
Be careful there, Kim.
I know, right?
Be careful putting
People will
yourself
call
out there.
you.
People will be like, Kim can help us.
How many
Okay, cool.
classes
Good to
does she
know.
want to do?
What?
How many classes do you want to do?
I know, right?
So another thing, couple other things is the balloons. I believe each office has a balloon that you guys can check out. You do need to have power at the property, but it's a nice Remax balloon, super easy to set up, but it's really nice in the front yard to have a nice, what is it, like 3 foot, something like that. To have that in the front yard really is a good attraction. If you really want to invest in your open houses, get the tube dude. Right, that's the Remax logo guy, the tube dude. He'll get a lot of attention. So I would make yourself just get a tote and have all your stuff for open houses. I'm going to go through a few more of those things with you guys when we get into momentum. The other thing is sports. So she talked about having some light music on. If it's an occupied property and it's sports season, put on the game. It doesn't need to be blaring in stereo, but put on the game, because if there's sports people out looking at open houses, they will appreciate that quick update. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then my last thing is video follow-up. So your open house is done. Yeah, you put them into your CRM. Send them a quick little video. Hey, it's Monica. I met you at this open house. Just want to put a face with the name. Let me know how I can follow up with you, right? People who are doing video text to leads are getting better response than people who are just doing regular text, okay? There's so much spam going on. I don't know about you, but yesterday I probably got a dozen spam messages, this for sale by owner, this blah, right? And so there's so much spam happening that people are just tuning it out, right? They're tuning it out. But if you stopped and it was your face in a video and you were able to connect, right? Especially if you've had some kind of connection with them at the open house. Okay. So video is not going away. So we all got to get comfortable with it and just get over ourselves, because the 10 pounds you want to lose or the sound of your voice, that's not why they're showing up, right? They're showing up because you're the expert. I had a girlfriend of mine that I've helped her with a couple pieces of real estate here in Phoenix, and helped her sell her house in the summertime, which we hit the sweet spot. So she relocated to Jersey and her lease is up. And it was funny because I just was thinking about her at R4 because I met someone from Jersey and said, oh my gosh, I might have a lead for you. And so she messaged me yesterday, I've got some questions, and she was so cute. She goes, I've done all the research I can do, but now I need a RE/MAX agent. I love that, right? So it wasn't just about me. It was just like, Sarah's going to get me a good RE/MAX agent in New Jersey, right? And so that I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, as a side note. So Roberta, you got something else to add?
Two things. One, Tammy comments about lighting candles. I personally don't like that idea, or even flowers that smell, because there's too many people who have odor sensitivities. And I think that it can be a turnoff and even an allergy component. So I think we should just always be careful with that. I know Monica always does flowers, but they don't tend to be smelly flowers.
Yeah.
So
And I would say if you go with it, go with a candle that like a vanilla or something that is, something that like the vanilla or the fresh cookie, those have that kind of inviting, I want to hang out smells, right?
The homey smell.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is we do use our balloon. We have our own that we put out front. We use it every now and then, not a lot because it blows in the wind and it can be an issue. But we invested last year in the Expando things that are like 6 feet tall. And I think Kristen and Monica will agree with me that every time we do use it, everybody comments. And all it says is open house, come in, fall in love, write an offer, move in, or something like that,
Yeah. So where did you get it on? Did you get it on All Things Real Estate, that website?
No, we bought it based on an R4 advertisement last year. I don't remember which group, but it was like $100.
Yeah.
Roberta, can you send me a picture of that? I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
It
me
wants us
too.
to put something out front.
I'll show you when you're in the office. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
So
thanks.
All Things Real Estate has one that a couple different options, about $89. They're not branded to RE/MAX, but I'm sure you could find one that would be branded to RE/MAX that says the same thing, come in and fall in love or something like that. So cool. Great contributions. All right, let's go ahead and jump into, as I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about VoicePad as I pull up my share screen here. So VoicePad is the tool we have, you guys. And I think either using the VoicePad or the RE/MAX app, those are all good options for, getting in contact with people, even from a lead gen perspective. If the listing agent, it's not your listing and the listing agent is using VoicePad, I would ask for that list of leads that have come through on that property. I've made a lot of money off of calling people that have called off those ads. You can call them and say, hey, Scott, you called off 123 Elm Street. Just want to let you know I'm having it open. I've had people say, what time? I'll be there, right? So there's that. And then also using VoicePad to put potential buyers into. That's one of the things Rose does, is she says, how would you like to have a realtor in your pocket? And people go, what does that mean? Right. And then she literally takes their phone and puts the app on their phone, right? She sends it to them and puts the app on their phone and demonstrates it while they're there. Now, that's a key to that, is she demonstrates it. She doesn't just send it and then hoping that they open it. She does it right there. Not everyone's going to be comfortable doing that. I respect that. I'm not sure I would want someone just to take my phone, but so Rose has this vibe about her that you're just like, okay, whatever, right? Take my phone. It's good. So that works for her. But the VoicePad is a really good tool because you can put people in there and you can stalk their behavior. So what properties they're calling about. I don't know if KV Core does the same thing. Haven't dived into that far enough. Certainly the RE/MAX app is another tool to give them as well. That's branded to you. And you can see what they're looking for and what they've been searching for, and they can share things with you. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in here. I'm not going to go through all the scripts and dialogues with you guys just in lieu of time, but the back end of this class is a whole bunch of scripts and dialogues for you guys as well. So our plan today is we want to teach you how to be effective, right, and proactive in creating relationships with new people. Or did anybody go to R4 listen in on the guy named Q? He's a Remax agent, Q. Did anybody go see Q? No, I didn't either, but I was talking to a coaching client yesterday who did. And he has a goal. What was it? It was 60 people a month, to talk to 60 people a month. And this guy, what's important to know is his first year, he went from being a rookie agent to hitting diamond, which is, no, not diamond. Was he diamond? Was it diamond? Anybody know his story? It was diamond, and then he went to pinnacle, right?
He was diamond and he went to pinnacle.
Within like
Yeah.
3 years of being an agent. So, which is, for those of you new to the organization, Diamond's $1 million GCI and Pinnacle's 2 million GCI as a rookie agent, right? So just being very committed to, 60 contacts every month. So anyway, going back to the materials, so open houses, we're going to have new relationships, right? A lot of buyers, but there's going to be sellers too. Anytime you take a new listing, I think there's opportunity there to have to do the open house, to go under contract. Now it's sold. If you're doing that type of activity, just to 40 doors, right? That's all we're saying is 10, 10, 20, right? 10 on either side, 20 across the street. If you're having those types of conversations, if anyone, and I've shared with you guys before that statistically speaking, when a home goes on the market, within 30 days, another home will come on the market. And within 60 to 90, 2 to 3 more homes might come on the market. So if you're doing that type of activity, Scott, I'd like to think that you're going to have an opportunity at least to sit down and have a conversation with that potential seller, that they're going to interview you, right? And so sellers do come from open houses as well. We have other classes coming up. You guys know the meetings Thursday. We got Alex. We've got Motto Mortgages doing some stuff with Total Alliance. So make sure you check out the March calendar because we've got a lot of good stuff for you guys. All right. So the financial consequences of a proactive lead generator, right? So we think about momentum. We talk about what are the one and two most important things that we do is generate leads and then convert the leads, as it doesn't do us any good to generate them and then blunder the follow-up and the conversion. So when we look at this, if you work 45 weeks, this is demonstrating, if you did 2 open houses per week, and then if you were able to close 10 transactions based on the numbers here of how many open houses, what's our average GCI right now? About 9,000. So that's about $90,000 that you could generate. And this isn't including all the other potential business that comes from that, the listings that could come from it, other stuff, right? The future referral business. This is just talking about getting 10 closings directly related from open houses. I don't know about you, but that's a pretty good day, right? If we're doing it effectively. So, and the average agent sells 10 homes a year. And if you look at statistically speaking, average Remax agent sells more than that. But when you look at other brands and non-brands, that number even goes down from there. Okay. So let's dive in here. Our open house plans. We got to have a prospect, right? Those are the people coming into the open house. And, don't be bummed if you only have a handful. I personally would rather have, 5 or 6 people come through an open house that I can have really good conversations with versus 25 people that I can't even keep up with everybody that's there, right? And it only takes one, right? That's it. It just takes one. I don't like the word label the looker. So we're going to identify the looker where they are in their process here. So we want to have some dialogues. What do we say to them? If you're stiff and cold and uncomfortable and feel really awkward talking to strangers, see me offline, because we need to work on that. Because part of being a good salesperson is mirroring people where they are, right? Meeting their energy level. One thing that I had asked Rose years ago, I said, what's your secret sauce? Like, what do you do different? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. And finally last year, she said something and I was like, that's it. That's your secret sauce. And her secret sauce is that she treats everyone like they're her best friend. And if any of you have spent any time around Rose, that's exactly how she makes you feel. She gets right up in your space and she's like, hey, and you just all of a sudden she's hugging you and you're like, okay, this is good, right? You're my new best friend. And so I love that, because that's something that I feel like all of us, if we understood that, like, how do you feel when you're around your best friends? Right. I know immediately when someone's a Libra, because I'm just drawn to the Libra because I'm a Libra. Like, I know immediately, right? Tina, you get it. Totally get it. There's just something about the energy there. So think about that. And that's something that there's one thing you take away from this class is learn to be people's best friends, even if they're a complete stranger, right? And we talk about in the DISC class of identifying your role versus your identity. Some of you that might be totally like, if I were to tell you to stand up in a room and go get 10 hugs, some of you be like, oh my God, screw you, Sarah, I'm leaving this class, right? Then my other people be like, yeah, woohoo, let's go. I'm going to get 12 hugs. And so we think about that uncomfortable space, but what's your role versus your identity? You put your name tag on, you put your open house signs, that's your role, right? Is to be the person who goes and gets 10 hugs. When you go home, take your name tag off, you can be the introvert, right? And turn it off and be that person. But if you want to be good at sales, you have to learn how to be a chameleon and meet people where they are. You're also going to get a labeling the dialogue, a follow-up, and then the justification for the meet. So some things you want to have, right? Have the voice pad list if you can. Obviously having good signs, having your sign-in sheets, whether that's digital or paper or both. Criteria sheet. So print out the MLS sheet, have the tax record as well, and then some clipboards. We used to do with Nate's high-end open houses, and I think he still does, is a survey that they have, and they had some, they'd have clipboards going around, have a handful of them. If you've got multiple people, you have the survey, that person fills out the survey. Now you've got feedback to give to your client. And the more, Kim, that they engage you in that survey, the more chance that you have to convert them into a lead, right? I'm dating myself, but did anybody ever watch, it was Law and Order, I forget what it was called. It was the one with the guy that played in one of the war movies. Anyway, it wasn't the SVU, it was the other one, criminal something. Anyway, he always at the end of the show, at the end when they're about to bust the bad guy, he'd pause, right? And then he'd have like the oh by the way type thing, right? He was the Columbo close. And so you think about that, like how much time can we spend with someone, and continue that conversation so we can have the Columbo close. And so using a sign-in sheet like that or a feedback form is one of those ways. Okay. Tax information, pricing tools, run comps, especially if it's not your listing. You do not want to be blindsided by someone who comes in and says, oh, this house is way overpriced, right? Or a seller who says, a neighbor that's mad because they think the house is underpriced. So run the comps. The other thing I think that you should do is preview. Pull up everything that's for sale in the immediate area and go preview those homes. That's another way to convert, because if someone walks in and says, I don't like this house or I need something different, you've gone and previewed, Scott. You could put a be right back sign on your open house. Go run over there. If it's available to be shown, go show the property. Do you think you have a better chance of converting that lead if you know the neighborhood that well and you're able to respond to their needs that quickly? Absolutely. Right. So at the very least, go preview. And if you want to have like a, one sheet on that, so what's available, that will impress people. Okay. If you know what's going on in the neighborhood, having thank you notes. So if you get the information to send out a thank you note, I think, that's a great idea, but I like the video text that you can send out immediately following better. The likelihood you're going to get someone's address, their physical address, that's a lot to ask for in an open house. That's why I like the video text, because I can do it right then, right after the open house, and I'm probably going to get a quicker response than sending out a thank you note. Okay, I'm not saying don't do the thank you note, because they're great and they have shelf life, but I think in that moment I'm choosing the video text. Okay. All right, so just in lieu of time, and I want to get to the rest of the materials, and I only got 20 minutes here. I'm not going to go through these. You guys have seen a lot of these already in the classes, but take the time, go through. I would print out page 6 of the materials and have this available to read through on a daily basis. These are the core beliefs and the sales beliefs and buyer beliefs that we all need to possess if we want to succeed in this business. I don't know if you guys read the Monday morning message. Sorry to disappoint you, but it's me who writes it, not Nate. But that really was me listening to an interview driving home from Vegas of a very popular band. And, we talked about not having a plan B. And so that really resonated with me, especially when coaching and teaching all of you guys, is that, I hear people saying, well, I need to get a real job, or maybe I'll Uber Eats in the evening because I'm struggling. And that's fine. You got to do what you got to do to pay your bills. But if you have a plan B, as Roberta said yesterday, then you really didn't have a plan A. So you got to be all in with unwavering faith, right? And this particular band has gone on to set records and sold over a million records in their career, and they still struggle to get the recognition and the even getting indoctrinated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was a struggle, right? And here's this band who's made massive contribution to the industry. So anyway, side note there, go read the Monday Morning Message. You'll get the rest of the story. So these are your core beliefs, right? And number two is one personally I say every day is I live in a world of abundance. If I get skunked at an open house, that's okay, Kim, because why? I live in a world of abundance and next week's going to be better, right? You have to have all these core beliefs. So print out page 6, study them, live them. It's not the last time you're going to see them because they are in lots of momentum classes, because we know how important that is to have a really strong mindset. All right, so let's jump in. Here's pricing. So picking a house that's priced according to your goals. I personally think I want to sit an open house at the sweet spot. So where's our average sales price that I'm going to get the buyers in that are going to be able to turn and burn? That's not to say that if you want to work luxury, you want to sit luxury open houses, great. Just know that that's a little bit different. Now, Tina Tambrew told us in her recent presentation, which was that February's notes? I think it was February. The luxury market has been unaffected by interest rates. Why? Because rich people use their own money when money's too expensive. And so the luxury market has been unaffected. So there's still some value, some opportunity there. The other thing is picking something that's got high traffic. It's easy to get to, and it doesn't need 20 directional signs just to get to the property. Okay. So making sure it's in a good area that you're going to get good traffic. And that it shows well inside and out. I don't personally mind sitting vacant properties. I know that sometimes is a hurdle for a buyer to be able to visualize their stuff, but vacant properties are easy, right? I can get in, I don't have to worry about pets or people or anything. I can just get into the open house. Now, that being said, not all vacant homes show well. And so there's also the security of a property being occupied too. So you just want to make sure that it looks good and it shows well. I've done dishes and made beds showing up to an open house. So be prepared for that. If you haven't watched American Dream, is it American Dream with what's his name, where she's the realtor, and the scene from I Will Sell This House Today.
It's American Beauty.
American Beauty. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, go watch the clip from her doing the open house. It's fantastic. So, all right, preparation. So we want to advertise 3 days in advance, right? You could even put a sign on the or a rider on the sign saying open whatever time you're doing. Jump on social media. Tammy touched a little bit about that on the video, but go on Friday, do a live from the open house, or if you're not comfortable doing a live, record yourself from the sweet spot in the home. If it's got a killer backyard or a killer kitchen, whatever that is, do a quick little video from there and say, hey guys, just a sneak peek. I'm going to be here at this house tomorrow from certain time to certain time. I'll pop the address in the comments. Saturday, you're there for the open house, do it again, because the algorithms, right? They may not have seen it. Do it again, put the address in there. You could even do a video walkthrough. If you're going to do a live, do a walkthrough and kind of pan and like zoom in on the granite countertops and be like, Tina, what do you think of these granite countertops? Aren't they beautiful? Or, hey, could you see your kids, splash around in the pool? So engage them in that, have them put the comments in, while you're doing the video. And then that way you can check in and, that stuff shows up, right? People heart things like it. You can see that. Again, if you're not comfortable with live, record a video and push that stuff out. It makes a world of a difference in your open houses. Okay. People, I've had agents say, yeah, like somebody was in bed on a Saturday morning, scrolling through, saw it, got up and got dressed and came to the open house. So it does make a difference. Okay. 40 to 50 neighbors, 10, 10, 20, right? 10 on either side, 20 across the street. I get it. Not all of us are comfortable door knocking, but here's a couple ways that you can get around that. Great time to pick your neighbor. Safety, is there any creepers around? Check out, make sure I'm okay, right? There's that. And then if you're putting a sign on their yard, ask for permission. Hey, I'm going to be doing an open house. Is it okay if I put the sign here? Most people are going to say, yeah, right. I mean, you might occasionally run into that mean seller or mean homeowner, but still opening conversation, right? So there's a couple ways to get around that. The very least, hang a flyer, right? Very least, if you're not comfortable and you're just like, no way, Sarah, am I door knocking? Then at least put a flyer out that says, hey, I'm doing an open house this weekend. Okay. I think a couple different clipboards are important, especially if you're going to do the survey. Having your registry, we talked about that, tax record, the MLS sheets, and then pricing. So you want to make sure you run comps. Plenty of signs, right? Make sure that it's easy to find. If you're sitting it with somebody else, maybe halfway through, go check your signs, make sure they're still standing up. I told you I bought sandbags for my signs, so I will not get skunked from the wind again. So, because those things are going to be weighted down. Get there, I'd say at least 20 minutes early, if not 30, just because you want to make sure, and especially if you've never been to the house before, make sure that you're getting there, turn on the lights, get everything ready, get yourself ready, right? If you're running around, you're all sweaty from putting signs out, getting there early gives you an opportunity to freshen up a bit. Already kind of touched on this, turning on all the lights, making sure the blinds are open, adjusting the thermostat, especially in Phoenix when it's hot, making sure that people are comfortable. Last thing you want to do is sit in an open house that's, hot and uncomfortable. Toilets, make sure toilet seats are down. Again, I agree with Roberta. You don't want to pick a candle like a lavender. There's a lot of people that are allergic to lavender. So we think lavender is lovely, but might make somebody sneeze. So pick something that's appropriate. I think vanilla or like a fresh cake or cookie or whatever that one is. Those are all, I think, okay to do. And again, we talked about music, optional sports, and then of course the thank you notes or the follow-up on video. Here's a resource for you guys. Sign Bro will put out signs for you for $50 in advance. I think that he's amazing in the summertime when it's hot outside. So I don't know, some people, $50, you might think that's too much, whatever, that's fine. It's a resource for you guys to have. Okay. Everybody get a screenshot of that. We're all good. Okay. All right. So we're not going to role play, but I do want to go through just here with you guys on what the scripts are. So the first one on page 9, it says page 8, sorry. So page 8, again, 40 to 50 neighbors. The script is simple, right? And again, we talked about that. And the one thing in here on page 8 is that it says as an extra service to the Smiths. That part's key, right? So same thing, you could use that as when you're door knocking to let them know about the open house. Okay. The next script in here is let me just get this advanced here to where I want it. Hold on a second, sorry. Okay, there we go. Oh, I guess that was it. Never mind. Okay, stop there. Page 9. So the lookers, we want to welcome them, right? Come in and make yourself comfortable. Unlike Tammy, I don't do a tour. I give them a flyer, tell them to go on their way. If they have any questions, let me know. I feel like, again, depending on the property, I might, if it's a luxury home and there's something really specific, I might do that. But that's just my thing. If anybody else does something different and you're having success with it, I chime in and let me know. So, because I think both ways work, just depends on your vibe and who the person is and the house. Because if it's a little tiny house, you don't necessarily need to show them around. If it's a big giant luxury home, maybe you do. Okay. And that's where having a second person at your open house would be really valuable, because if you're off touring with somebody else comes in, right? If you are going to send it with a lender, make sure that lender's good. Make sure they have a good personality, because the last thing you want is somebody very rigid and uncomfortable sitting in that open house with you. Okay. So come in and make yourself at home. Give them the flyer. Have a smile, right? Be friendly, be approachable. You're there, right? Why not try to make friends and try to get some new leads? And so, and then ask them to sign in, right? Have that surveillance thing on there, which I'll send out to you guys. And then once they've toured the home and come back, our goal is that we want to answer any questions that they have, right? Find out where they are in the buying process. Are they just out looking? Are they the nosy neighbor, or are they actually legitimately looking? Or are they, using Redfin or Zillow or some, third-party app, right? Find out where they are in the process. And then we want to close for the follow-up so that we can follow up later on, right? So, and again, 60% of people who go through open houses actually do buy homes. Okay. Page 10. So we want to provide the information. Page 11 is a flow chart for you guys to go through where they are. So if they say yes, how are you going about finding your perfect home? And then engage them. So what is the process? What process are you using to ensure you get the home you want and want the home you get? Really important script right there, right? Because I mean, this market's been tough, right? We've got some buyers who are pretty burned and they're not even on the fence. They're in their mom's house surfing Netflix from the couch, right? And so if we say something like that, Monica, that what process are you using to ensure you get the home you want and want the home you get? That to me is like, what do you mean I might not want the home I get? I bought a house last March. It's not my dream home, right? It's not my dream home. And for the price I paid for it, definitely not my dream home. But I bought it because I didn't have a choice, right? It was what I had at that time that fit my criteria, that fit my budget. And so how many of your people bought in the last 3 to 5 years that are in the same boat? And maybe, Monica, they want to make a move, right? They want to upsize. They want to think about changing that because there's inventory on the market. And side note, not to go down a rabbit hole, but please go preview, go look at all the new construction in the West Valley. There is so much out there. And, last time I checked, Lennar was still guaranteeing 4.99 on a fixed rate. I don't know how they're doing it, but they are, right? My lender will match the rates that the builders will give, right? I don't know if she'd do it today, just for the rates the way they are. But go look at the preview, go look at that stuff. This is the first time in 30 years that new homes are as affordable as resale. And in some cases, with the incentives that the builders are giving, they're even better deals. Okay. So if you think about someone in your database, blast it out. You never know who might be thinking about making a move, or you at least plant the seed. Okay. So the flow chart. So then we have no, I'm not in the market. So which brings you out. Okay. And don't be afraid of those people, the nosy neighbors. Ask to put them in your database. Right. That's another person you're putting in your database. Can I stay in contact with you? Would you mind if I asked you if you know of anybody thinking about making a move? Would you refer me? Right. Or would you at least keep my name in mind? Okay. So that flow chart walks you through that. The other scripts you have are getting them to come into the office, right? Can't you just email me the information? We all say that, right? I've said it, right? Or you go to the department store and the person walks up to you and says, Scott, are you finding everything you need? What do you say? No, thanks. I'm just looking. Right. I don't do that anymore, by the way. When I'm in the store and someone approaches me and asks if they can help me, I say yes. Because why? Because my time is valuable. And if they can help me find what I'm looking for, why not take advantage of that? That's what they're there for, right? That's their job. Okay. Your time is very valuable. At the end of the day, that's all you have is time, right? It's our only limited commodity. So justification, so justifying that, really getting into that space of, I'm a consultant. I'm not just here to give you information. I'm here to do a job and to represent you. There's a lot of moving parts to buying a home. And most people look at, reality TV shows and they think that that's what it's all about, but we know that isn't, right? There's a lot of other things that go into buying a home. So you want to slip into that space of, setting an appointment, have them come to the office and do a buyer consultation with them. So there's a couple other dialogues in here. So you've got, just looking, then the follow-up on page 18, there's a follow-up dialogue. Why not put that into video instead of just doing the follow-up on a voicemail? Page 20 is a sample of open house, how you could, your registration. You could take this and recreate it. I literally just put mine was name, phone number, email. I had buying, selling, working with a realtor. That was what mine's really basic, right? And again, play with those different modalities. You might be totally comfortable with the digital part of it and using your tech versus, you might be better off with paper. So try it, right? There's really no right or wrong way. It's whatever's going to work for you. And then the people that are coming, like I would guess if you're working Sun City stuff, those people might be a little less willing to sign in on electronic things because, they're afraid of that, right? So just something to think about. And then you've got your open house follow-up, which is the really basic form for you to follow up. This all could be put into your CRM, right? So you don't have to do the paper. The last two things that you have is the follow-up notes, but also page 23 is a criteria sheet. And you'll see this in a couple other classes in Momentum. I would take this and customize it to yourself so that you can give this out. If you're at an open house and you give out a criteria sheet, that's something different that your competition isn't doing. And if you have two people that are involved in making the decision of buying a home, not the house in Surprise, but the house we had in Prescott, the closet space sucked. And there was a room that we could add a closet, and we went back and forth about it. And I said to my boyfriend, I said, I want you to go ask a handful of females at your work and ask them what's more important, right? And every single one of them agreed with me that closet space was important. But it was a really like, not a heated discussion, but it was a discussion we had about spending the money to add this closet, right? We ultimately didn't, but if we would have stayed there longer, it's something that definitely would have happened. So we think about, and the reason I share that is we're two people living in the same house. Everybody has different ideas of what's important. Most men gravitate towards garage space, right? My boyfriend, kitchen and bath's important to him because he does all the cooking, right? And so those are things that people are not on the same page of what's important to them. So Scott, if you give them a criteria sheet that helps them to understand what it is that they're looking for, if they're a first-time home buyer, their bar might be set with what their parents bought, and all of a sudden their reticular activator goes off, right? You guys know what that is? So I have a yellow Jeep, never saw any yellow Jeeps till I owned a yellow Jeep. Now I see them everywhere. That's your reticular activator. Same thing happens when someone is thinking about buying a home. All of a sudden, everybody starts coming out of the woodwork, telling them their opinions and having, whatever, sharing their stories and trying to help them. So same thing with somebody moving down in size. If they're coming from a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot house and they're going to try to squeeze into a Sun City 1,000 square foot, that is a mental hurdle to get over, right? It really is. And so, having a criteria sheet that helps them to identify what are their top priorities. Again, your competition isn't doing that. And if you're going to follow up for a consultation, you've had that criteria sheet, how's it going filling that out? Right. Again, competition isn't doing it. I would say there's a couple things I would add to this. It's got school district on it. There was one, what was it we were going to add to it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, take a look at this, get it customized for yourself and use it as part of it. Because again, our competition's not doing it. So that being said, any questions, comments? I think the lead up for me is advertising in advance. We talked a little bit about Marketplace. I would put it on Facebook Marketplace. Depending on how you feel about Craigslist, I might even advertise it there. One little key with Craigslist to avoid the scammers is instead of using numbers for your phone number, like putting a 602, spell out 6. That keeps the scammers away, right? You don't have to do your home phone number, just do a couple, like you could do the 602, spell it out, and then put the rest of your phone number. You need to make sure if you're doing any of those sites that you are letting the public know that you're a realtor. So make sure you put that out there. I boosted the Facebook ad that I did. And like I said, the Morristown one, I got a ton. You're going to get spam. You're going to, but that's okay, right? We just weed through the spam. So I think the Facebook stuff in advance, having good signage, running some ads, and then, the day of doing that stuff. Kim, you got any comments?
I have a question, actually.
Sure.
In the last meeting I was in with you, somebody suggested holding new build spec homes open. Can we do that?
That's probably a Shannon question.
Okay.
So if they don't have a contract with a real estate company, I don't see why not. If it's just specs and they don't have them, if it's just a spec and it's not listed in the MLS, I don't see why that would be a problem. And I think that that's what that particular team was doing. These are specs that are not in the MLS and they're sitting them open.
Okay.
So, but
check with Shannon.
I would check with Shannon, but I think that as long as they're not listed with another company, you're probably fine. So, but yeah, that's a good idea, right? Those spec homes out there, and there's traffic. People are the builders are advertising that stuff and driving the traffic. So you're taking advantage of that. Any other questions or comments? Anything that Roberta, you might be doing different that maybe I didn't say?
I don't think so. I think you touched on several things that we already do.
Okay. I would, like I said, I would get a tote, have your toilet paper, have your candle. If it's vacant, have a chair, have all of your swag and all the things that you want to put out, so that it's obvious that you're, selling real estate, business cards, all that stuff. So, and if you have a tote, it makes it nice and easy. You just grab the tote and go. Yeah.
I guess the one thing I would add is I never ask somebody if they mind signing in. Of course they mind signing in. I always direct them to the table and tell them, please sign in.
Mm-hmm.
Here is our sign-in sheet. I need you to sign in. The seller requires that you sign in, pick your verbiage, but I never ask their permission for their information. And it makes a big difference
Sure.
on what you're getting. Now you still may get Mickey Mouse from a few people, but it's really phenomenal to me to watch. I held an open house and we had, I don't know, it was a low price, low hanging fruit one, but we had about 25 people came through and 100% of the people got in line
To
so that they
sign
could
in.
sign in.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what was
Nice.
kind of one of the running themes at R4 was words matter. Right? We heard that several times throughout the couple days we were there, is words matter. And so how we say things matter. And so just that slight change, right? And saying, please sign in versus would you sign in? I had someone try to, when we were at Maroon 5, we were down in the pit. I had an agent come up to me and go, I created a little tiny little pocket around myself, right? So I wasn't like breathing on everyone else. And this lady came up, she goes, do you mind? And she pointed to my pocket and I said, actually, I do. And I think she was taken aback by the fact I told her, no, I don't want you to get in my space. So that's a great example of someone that you give them an easy way to say no to you if you say, would you mind? So I love that. Thanks for that contribution. So Monica.
We did have an open house in which they signed in at the beginning before they walked through the door and put in their information. Now, that was before they met us. And so a lot of the information was inadvertently transposed. But when you start to talk with them and you get the name and, oh, you're just a few houses back behind us, I was able to go back and basically find the name, match it up with the address, and send a note, but so it's the conversation and the listening that got me back to them to send that note that they never would have expected, because they put the wrong information. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
In-
Cool. Go ahead.
In addition to that, real quick, the other question you ask them, are you working with an agent? Well, if they say yes, I take that as an opportunity. 50% of them are lying, and so you just need to figure that out and gauge that. But I always ask them, are you working with an agent? And they say yes. And I say, oh, fabulous. Who are you working with?
Mm-hmm.
And I get the name of the person. And while they're touring the house, I'm on my Flex MLS and I'm going to members and I'm finding that person. If they're in there, great. If they're not in there, then I go back and I re-clarify. Now, who did you say was your agent? Because I'm certainly not finding them. I try to dig down a little bit, not to be controversial with them or, antagonistic towards them, but I try to find the information. If they are in there, then I listen really closely to what the comments are. And then as soon as they walk out of the house, I call that agent.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, your client was here. Here's what they liked about the house. Here's what they're looking at. Did you know that they're out without you today?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we actually
every
had that.
time they get blown away that I'm calling them.
Yeah, we had that happen internally with two of our agents, and they were very appreciative that they got that phone call from the agent sitting in the open house. So, all right, well, you guys, I got to jump off because I have a meeting with Nate here at 10 o'clock. But as always, I'm a resource. Reach out. Tomorrow you got KB Core, and Thursday is the office meeting, which is always my favorite Thursday of the month. So hopefully get to see you guys there. It will be streaming on Zoom for those of you who don't want to come. But remember, we'll do the in-person mastermind that will not be on Zoom, that directly follows. So if you haven't been to one of those yet, it's fantastic. 30 minutes of your time and lots of good share there. So hopefully see you guys then. If you need anything,
Good
reach
stuff.
out. Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Sarah.
Take care. Have a great
thank
day.
you.
You too.
Bye-bye.